Good morning, everyone. Woo, it is definitely a no makeup Saturday. I hope you're doing well, and we're going to do a little bit of behind the scenes today. Of course, it is behind the scenes Saturday, and you are watching Ask the Budgetologist. I am your host and budgetologist, Phylecia Jones, and you know what? I come on every morning and I answer any questions about business, budgeting, and solo entrepreneurship, and I give you tons of unsolicited money advice. But on Saturdays, I kind of take it a little bit easy. The makeup comes off, we get a little bit more natural, and I give you a little bit of the behind the scenes of what's going on in my business and what kind of what I do. And today I'm going to talk about how I'm prepping for packing for podcast movement. I have to prep for another speaking gig next weekend as soon as I get back, and expense purging. We're going to talk about expense purging. Hey, Mia, how you doing? I had a lovely time hanging out with Mia. We're going to solve all the world's problems. We hung out Thursday night, hung out with my dear friend Sunshine Lump last night. We did a little photo walk, had some margaritas. We just kind of had a little fun. That's what I try to do on Fridays, to not take things so freakishly serious. So thank you all, Heather and Mia. And for those of you who are going to tune in a little bit later, thank you for being here watching live. For those of you who are listening to the podcast, thank you so very much. I appreciate you. And wow, it is a very fun Saturday, a very amazing Saturday. Oh, and Mia saying congrats on a new speaking gig. So just to kind of give you all just a heads up of what's going on. So a couple of weeks ago, actually it was probably about a month ago, maybe, I forget when, I was contacted by one of the board members of the South Metro Denver Chamber Women in Business Conference. And it was pretty cool. They reached out to me and asked if I would like to be the MC for their conference. And of course, I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's pretty cool. Because one, I've never MC'd before, so I'm really excited for it. And it's going to be so much fun. And it's going to be an amazing conference. So if you are in Denver and you want to come to this conference, it's 200 plus business owners, some phenomenal local business owners that are doing amazing things. This is the place for you to be. It's going to be Thursday, September 20th. And I will put all the details. The details are coming up, so I can get the details to post them on the website. You can go to keepupwithmrsjones.com and it'll show you how you can register, or you can go to the South Metro Denver Chamber. You can Google it. We all have Google skills. Go to the South Metro Denver Chamber and you can look for their Women in Business Conference. So really excited about that. And I'm losing my voice already. Kind of stayed up talking about all the problems in the world and drinking margaritas, solving them. So that's going to be fun. Hey, Tiffany, how you doing? So really excited about that one. For those of you coming in, it's just behind the scenes Saturday. I kind of just shoot off from my mouth. Nothing's really prepared. I'm going to talk about expense purging. I'm off to podcast movement on Monday. So I was actually reached out by the two founders of podcast movement to be an ambassador. So not really sure of all my duties, but I said, yeah. So I'm going to be an ambassador at podcast movement. I'll be flying out to Philadelphia on Monday. So just to give you all a heads up, the show will go on live next week. It's just going to be a little wonky. I'm going to be coming to you live from podcast movement. So I won't have any set topics for the week, but I'm going to kind of pull from some topics that's going to be roaming around at podcast movement. I'm going to show you how to work a room, how to afford all the gadgets that you see at conferences, and try to run into some amazing people. So if you know someone that I should have on the show next week, let me know. If you know they're going to be at podcast movement, I will go and find them. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And thank you, Tiffany. Tiffany saying congrats. And I saw right before I went live, I saw your message, saying that you see if you can get to Denver. Yes, you should come to Denver. Ignite Boulder is the night before. So that could be fun too if you apply for that. So Ian saying emceeing is so fun. You'll crush it. Thanks. That conference sounds amazing. Thank you, Mia. It's going to be so much fun. I'm unscripted off of a microphone. I don't know who's going to have more fun, me or them. So usually speaking is so much different when you have to prep for, whatever your knowledge is. And emceeing is a lot more different. So I'm just going to have fun. Mia is saying, hey, Tiffany. Tiffany, say hey to Mia. Hi, Ann. How are you doing? Hey, Kat. What's going on? So So those are the few speaking gigs coming up. So I'm actually speaking at WordCamp Denver next Saturday, next Saturday actually. So it's the best $20 of your life, and it's a very cool community. They have margaritas. Hopefully they have margaritas this year, but they're taking care of lunch. There's an after party, and they're taking care of breakfast the next day. $20, like really, really cool conference, or maybe 25. I could be lying. But for $20, that's not a bad deal. So you can go over to WordCamp Denver, look it up, register. August, I'm just hanging out. Got to go dark for a little bit. My VA and we got to clean up a whole bunch of things. I got to get ready for September. I'm going to be paneling for the Women of Denver group here on September 8th. Going to be emceeing September 20th for the Women in Business Conference. Then at the end of the month, I am off to FinCon. I'm going to be speaking at Success Incubator. I'll be sharing the stage with Darren Rouse, a pro blogger. Then I'm speaking twice at FinCon. So I'm going to be talking about how to land your next 21 speaking gigs. And I'm going to be on a panel about going from 9 to 5 to full time as a solo entrepreneur. I have a lot of words on that one. So hopefully I won't just take over the panel. But I do have a lot of words on going full time. So I'm prepping for all of those things. And I have to prep a new talk while I'm on the road, because what I talk about at WordCamp, that's like one of my fun talks, and I just talk about what's going on. I'm going to talk about how to 365 days of live streaming. And Tiffany, I heard that I am part of your presentation. That's cool. I'm going to have to come see your presentation so I can see this. That's going to be so fun. And so, yeah, so I got to prep for that talk, and because I haven't really presented around the live streaming, but I have 2 talks coming up that people have requested, so that's going to be pretty cool. So I have to prep for that. The other thing that's going on is I'm purging expenses. Now, I told you I was going to tell you about that. So I'm about to make a slight shift inside of what I'm doing. Last week I announced, it was kind of corny, but I announced that I'm going full time as a professional speaker. I'm just going to pursue it. It's something I've been ducking and dodging for a long time, and it's taken a week to say it out loud. It's taken about 2 weeks to say it out loud to other people. So I'm going to go after that. And with that change, I have been purging some expenses, getting rid of things that aren't working for me. And it's been very interesting going through that process. So, and I highly encourage you to do that. I call it a mid-year expense purge. And I talk about numbers and money all the time here. And I just want to let you know that I actually practice half of what I preach now. I actually practice what I preach. And it's been a very interesting thing going back and trying and realizing that where I want to go, my expenses don't match anymore. And getting rid of things that aren't really serving me, getting rid of networking groups, even Facebook groups that just aren't serving me anymore. And then now shifting that money over into places where I really need to shift the money into. So that has been a very eye-opening experience. And, the hubs and we got some other things that we're trying to do in our life. So I've had to take on the task of being the CFO of my business and take on the task of being the CFO at home, because, when you have disruptions, and positive life changes, buying a house and buying a new car or things like that, you kind of have to sit down and look at where your life is right now and where you're trying to go. And I have enjoyed this process of kind of looking at the business as a whole and knowing that there are some things I just don't need anymore. There are some things that I had when I first started that I needed, and I've used them loyally for years now, but where I'm trying to go, it's just not working anymore. And that's an eye opener. I'm pretty sure a lot of business owners have to go through that. There are some eye opening things that happen that just make you realize, wow, this where I'm going, I just don't need these things. And it's time to just cut ties and just keep moving. So that has been hey, good morning, Beatrice. How you doing? That has been a very eye-opening experience. And I encourage all of you to do that. It's July now. It really is. It really is July now. I was told last night there are 24 Mondays until Christmas. 24 ain't that much. 24 is not a lot. I was like, wow, that's that knocked me down for a bit. But, when my friend was telling me this, I was like, wow. And, I've been, like Tiffany always says, she used her hashtag, the shift is real. I like that. But when you're going through these shifts, you have to kind of just step back and just say, you know what, if there's some things that I want to happen, I'm going to be the one that makes them happen. And that's what's been happening the last few weeks with me. Like, there's some other things that I want to do and go after. Hey, Angela, how you doing? There's definitely some things I want to go after. And I realize that I'm the only one that can make it happen. I am the only one that can make these changes happen. I've had great support. There's some people who have talked me off of the ledge over the last couple of weeks with some of the things that I want to do. It's been fun. It's been a fun couple of weeks trying to understand where I'm going. But, and I know all of you have been through this. Every last one of us have been through this when you've had these like breakthroughs or these moments where you realize, okay, this is what I want to do. And you have your friends that say, it's about damn time you figured it out, because we already knew. You're just the last person who got clued in on what you're supposed to do. So that's what's been happening the last few weeks. And people are like, finally, thank you. I've been telling you this for years. But sometimes you know how it goes in one ear and it kind of jostles around in your brain for a while. And then it's like, oh, okay, I get it now. I get what you were saying like 5 years ago. So all of these new changes I'm looking forward to them. And I talked about processes early this week. And what I'm realizing is that, I have the process around the money. So we're putting in the processes so that I can go back and do these expense purges every 6 months to know what needs to go away, what needs to stay. And I talk about this all the time on the show around the 1st and 15th, looking at what's working, what's not working. But these are like major expense purges when your business is about to go in a different direction and the things that you're using right now just aren't working. Sometimes those are people, sometimes those are groups, those are software programs that you're paying for. It's time to either upgrade, downgrade, or just shift. And so what we're doing in August is that I'm kind of chilling out. I don't have anything on the calendar. Thank goodness. No interviews. I think I have one podcast interview, no speaking, nothing. And we're going to get together and just really hammer out these processes, because your processes are what makes money. And I talked about this on the Wednesday show. I think I talked about this on the Wednesday show. I think it was the Wednesday show where I talked about, you got to get these processes down. You have to. It's not the sexy part of business, but it's what I know I need to do to really understand where things are going. So that's what I'm doing. We're getting rid of a lot of expenses that I just don't need anymore. I'm actually taking on a few more expenses that have, they're pricey, but you're paying for convenience. And sometimes convenience is a necessity with all the technology that we have going on. I kind of hate spending the extra money, but I know I need to pay for the convenience to save time. Time equals money. And, I've done little things like I send out the thank you notes and I handwrite them, but it's getting to the point I just don't have the time to do them for everybody. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to automate it and I'm going to have to spend the money for that convenience, but it's working, it's working. So getting rid of some expenses, bringing on some new ones, and just kind of really looking at where I want to go and how I want to end the year. And this is kind of how I'm setting things up. How is it that I want to end 2018? How do I want to end this year? Heather is saying process will make or break a business, especially as you scale and start hiring. It's so true, because I know where you are, Heather, and I know what you and your husband do. So Heather runs a copywriting business, and it's Damn Good Copywriting, and her you could follow her on Instagram at Copywriting Mama. Let me know if I have all of that right, Heather. But especially in the world where Heather is, we talked about this on Thursday. It's so important for that copywriting business and the types of clients she's going after to really understand her processes, to have them nailed, because, that's where the money is made. If you don't follow up properly, if you don't do things properly, you can miss out on money. And and even where Heather is going, she's going to have to make these decisions on some expenses, some things she's going to have to get rid of, and she's probably going to have to take on just a few more expenses that make sense for the direction of the business. And I try to tell you this on this show. That's the goal of this show. I'm not just strictly about budgeting and getting rid of things. I am about budgeting and being smart as a CFO of your business and of your life. And a lot of these things, when we are trying to get out of debt, get out of, the financial situations we're in, we just want to cut everything and go dry. For some situations that works. For personal life finances, it absolutely works, because if the money's coming in, we know what we need to do. But with business, it's not that clean sometimes. It's not that clean. And that's why I tell you, the 1st and the 15th, at least twice a month, you got to sit down and check in with where you're trying to go and make smart decisions, not just paying for things just because it sounds like a good idea at the moment, but being very, very smart with where you're trying to go and where you're trying to get to, so that the money makes sense. The money makes sense. Okay. And not just, and we talked about this last week, not because you invested in coaching and it just didn't work out. And half the time is really us when we don't know what we're doing, or we don't know really where we want to go. So that's why you got to take this time and really look at what you're doing with your business and always ask, is this going to help me get to where I need to be? All right. You always got to ask that. And Heather is saying we're getting really lean and mean over here the past couple of weeks, thanks to your advice. You're welcome, Heather. That was fun. Heather and I did a jumpstart session with her and her husband, and that was a lot of fun, and tossed out some new ideas. But some of the new ideas will take, cleaning up some stuff so that new things can come in. And Heather, I'm in the same boat as you, trying to clean up and trying to lean down. And you want to talk about dumbing down some things. I kind of showed you my boards on how I'm outlining my processes. Gosh, was that Wednesday or Thursday? I can't remember. I can't remember. I'm like a dog. I only can remember things for the last 5 minutes. But I showed you some of the behind the scenes of some of the processes. I mean, I have some epic things that I did, but they were never really clean. Going after speaking gigs, going after clients, onboarding. I had some things in place, but they weren't clean. So August is cleanup month for me. It really is. August is straight cleanup month. So we're going to be cleaning up everything over here because I'm about to go and tackle something really huge. So, you know what? That's all I have for you. That's the behind the scenes. Of course, there's tons and tons and tons going on. So one, make sure if you're not following me over Instagram. So I'm going to post on Instagram first. A lot of things will come over here to Facebook of what's going on at Podcast Movement. It's going to be fun. It's actually my first time there. And to being really exposed to the podcast community, but it's a fun community. I met a lot of people at FinCon last year. So a lot of the friends that I made at FinCon will be in Philadelphia. So make sure you're following me over there. Also, we're having podcast week here on Ask the Budgetologist, August 12th through 18th, podcast week. Just finished the schedule, just finished the topics. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so much fun. We're going to talk about the benefits of podcasting, how you can land speaking gigs, how you can profit from it, the tools and tech so that you can get started, especially if you're a speaker. So we're going to have so much fun. So all the things are going to start hopping off here next week so that you can sign up. For those of you who sign up, I'm going to have some little extra special things for you. But it's going to be so much fun. So August 12th, that is in conjunction with my dear friend, Mr. Mark Asquith over at Podcast Website. He's the founder of that company. He's also the sponsor, one of the sponsors for Podcast Movement. So we're going to go hang out at their booth, see what they're doing so that you can start getting an idea. And I'm going to be encouraging you, telling you more about podcast websites and how they can really help you get started with your podcast. Quick, easy. That's what we want these days, quick and easy. All right, folks, I hope you have an amazing Saturday. So Beatrice, Angela, Heather, Tiffany, Mia, Ann, Kat, thank you for joining me on Saturday. It's so funny, I don't get that many people on Fridays, but I get a lot of people on Saturday mornings. What are you all not doing on Saturday mornings? Are you all in bed just watching? Like, seriously, are you all just in bed? Because that's what I would be doing. So, So thank you for tuning in. Thank you so very much. You know, I appreciate every last stinking one of you. Of course, if you don't have time to watch, you can always download the podcast. Go to iTunes, your favorite player FM for my Android folks, my smart Android people. I'm a little biased. So you can go listen to the podcast. And next week, tomorrow is going to be we're going to talk about a little bit of the personal finances. I have a topic. I just don't remember it right now. So I'll let you know what's going on. So we'll talk about personal finances, and then kicking off on Monday for the week of Ask the Budgetologist, we will be live from Podcast Movement and WordCamp Denver. So, oh my gosh, it's going to be so much fun. And I'm not going to have a voice by Wednesday, just FYI. So have an amazing Saturday. Take care, Heather. Have an amazing day. See you bright and early tomorrow morning. Bye. I got to find my buttons. All right, bye now.